Right now, somewhere deep inside the Arctic, the temperature has dropped below -40 degrees Celsius. The wind moves across the frozen landscape with incredible force, turning even a short walk into a fight for survival. There are no trees, no roads, no cities, only endless snow, frozen oceans, and complete silence. For most people, surviving here would be impossible. Yet for thousands of years, one remarkable group of people has called this unforgiving world home: the Inuit. But here's the question that changes everything. Have the Inuit always lived here? Most people believe the answer is yes. History books often describe the Inuit as the original people of the Arctic, living in this frozen wilderness since ancient times. It sounds simple, believable, and complete. Except modern science now says that story is incomplete. Before we uncover the truth hidden beneath thousands of years of Arctic ice, take a second to like this video and subscribe, because every week we reveal the forgotten history they never taught in school. Today, archaeologists are making discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew about the Arctic. Ancient DNA is rewriting human history. Frozen archaeological sites are revealing civilizations that existed long before the Inuit ever arrived. The deeper scientists dig beneath the ice, the stranger the story becomes. Imagine standing on the coast of northern Greenland during winter. The sun hasn't risen for weeks. The air is so cold that every breath burns your lungs. The ocean has frozen into a massive sheet of ice, stretching far beyond the horizon. There are no sounds except the wind. No signs of civilization. No place to hide. No room for mistakes. Most people would survive only a few hours. Yet the Inuit have mastered this environment for centuries. They don't simply survive here, they thrive. Their knowledge of snow, ice, weather, animals, and the sea is unlike anything else on Earth. Every movement has a purpose. Every hunt requires patience. Every decision can determine whether an entire family survives another winter. For generations, this incredible ability has fascinated explorers, scientists, and historians alike. But an even greater mystery has remained hidden beneath the frozen ground, because the first people to live in the Arctic weren't actually the Inuit. This discovery shocks many people today. For decades, researchers believed the Inuit had lived across the Arctic for thousands of years without interruption. Then archaeology changed everything. As scientists uncovered ancient settlements buried beneath snow and frozen soil, they noticed something unusual. The houses looked different. The hunting tools looked different. The stone weapons followed completely different designs. Even the artwork didn't resemble traditional Inuit culture. At first, researchers assumed these were simply older versions of Inuit communities. That explanation seemed reasonable. Cultures change over time. Technology improves, traditions evolve. But then something happened that completely transformed our understanding of Arctic history. Scientists extracted ancient DNA from human remains preserved by the Arctic's natural freezer. The results were astonishing. These ancient people were not the direct ancestors of today's Inuit. They belonged to an entirely different population. That meant two completely different civilizations had lived in the Arctic. One disappeared. The other arrived later. Suddenly, one of history's greatest mysteries was born. Who were these forgotten people? Why did they vanish? Did they leave peacefully? Were they forced out? Or did nature itself erase an entire civilization? These questions remain some of archaeology's biggest unsolved mysteries. To understand the answers, we first need to understand the Arctic itself. This isn't simply a cold place. It is one of the harshest environments humans have ever inhabited. Winter lasts most of the year. Temperatures remain below freezing for months. Food is scarce. Trees don't grow. Farming is impossible. Everything depends on the sea. Seals, whales, fish, caribou. These animals provide nearly everything needed for survival: food, clothing, shelter, fuel, tools. Nothing can be wasted. Every successful hunt means another chance to survive. Every failed hunt brings danger closer. The Inuit understand this better than anyone. Their knowledge isn't written in books. It is passed from generation to generation through observation, experience, and storytelling. Children learn from an early age how to recognize safe sea ice, how to predict storms, how to follow animal tracks hidden beneath fresh snow, how to remain calm when survival depends on making the right decision. These skills represent thousands of years of adaptation. But here's another fascinating fact. Modern genetic studies suggest the ancestors of today's Inuit didn't originate in North America. Instead, evidence points toward northeastern Siberia. Roughly 1,000 years ago, these ancestors began moving eastward across Alaska before expanding into northern Canada and Greenland. Their migration happened surprisingly fast. Within only a few centuries, they occupied enormous stretches of Arctic coastline. Wherever they settled, they introduced remarkable innovations. Their hunting technology became more advanced. Their boats were stronger. Their weapons became more efficient. They perfected large whale hunting, allowing communities to gather enormous amounts of food from a single successful expedition. This dramatically changed life in the Arctic. Communities grew larger. Trade expanded across thousands of kilometers. Ideas spread between distant settlements. The Arctic became more connected than ever before. Yet despite these achievements, one haunting question continues to puzzle scientists. What happened to the people who lived here before them? Ancient villages suddenly disappear from the archaeological record. Some settlements appear abandoned. Tools remain untouched. Homes stand empty. It's almost as if an entire civilization simply vanished. Climate change may have played a role. Changing sea ice could have disrupted hunting. Food sources may have become scarce. Some researchers believe competition with newly arriving populations added even more pressure. Others think multiple factors combined over generations until survival became impossible. The truth remains uncertain. And every year, melting Arctic ice reveals new clues. As frozen ground thaws, archaeologists discover ancient campsites, hunting tools, clothing, and even human remains that have remained preserved for centuries. Each discovery adds another piece to one of humanity's greatest historical puzzles. The remarkable story of the Inuit is still unfolding with every new excavation, every new DNA analysis, and every new scientific breakthrough. We move one step closer to understanding who these extraordinary people truly are, and what really happened in the frozen world they now call home. As researchers continue studying the Arctic, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. The frozen ground isn't just preserving history, it's protecting secrets that have remained untouched for thousands of years. Every summer, as the ice retreats a little farther, archaeologists uncover something unexpected: an ancient hunting camp, a forgotten stone tool, fragments of clothing, animal bones arranged with incredible precision. Sometimes, even human remains preserved so perfectly that scientists can still extract DNA. Each discovery tells the same story. Someone lived here long before the Inuit arrived, but who were they? For years, scientists believed these ancient people gradually evolved into the Inuit. It seemed like the most reasonable explanation. Then DNA analysis changed everything. When researchers compared ancient Arctic DNA with the DNA of modern Inuit communities, the results were surprising. The genetic connection simply wasn't there. Instead of one continuous population, scientists discovered evidence of two completely different groups. The earlier inhabitants disappeared. Centuries later, the ancestors of today's Inuit arrived from northeastern Siberia. That raises another mystery. If these were different people, what happened when they met? Did they trade peacefully? Did they avoid one another? Or did they compete for the same hunting grounds? Unfortunately, history leaves no written records. The Arctic keeps its secrets well. What scientists do know is that around 1,000 years ago, a remarkable culture began spreading rapidly across Alaska. These newcomers possess technology unlike anything seen before in the Arctic. Their harpoons are stronger, Their sleds are more advanced. Their boats allow them to hunt massive whales in open water. This technology changes everything. A single successful whale hunt provides enough food to support entire communities for weeks. Whale bones become the framework for houses. Animal skins become waterproof boats. Oil from whale blubber provides heat and light during the endless polar night. For the first time, larger settlements become possible. Trade networks begin expanding across thousands of kilometers. Ideas, tools, and traditions spread from one community to another. These people become known today as the Thule culture, the direct ancestors of the modern Inuit. What makes them extraordinary isn't just their ability to survive. It's how quickly they adapt. Within only a few centuries, they spread across nearly the entire Arctic, reaching northern Canada and eventually Greenland. Few human migrations in history happen this efficiently under such extreme conditions. Their success comes from knowledge passed through generations. Every child learns how to recognize dangerous sea ice, how to follow seal-breathing holes hidden beneath snow, how to read tiny changes in the wind that signal an approaching storm. In the Arctic, experience as valuable as food. One mistake can cost an entire hunting party their lives. Even today, many of these traditional skills continue to be passed down through Inuit families. Modern equipment has changed life dramatically, but the deep understanding of the Arctic environment remains an important part of Inuit culture. Scientists are increasingly realizing that this traditional knowledge is incredibly valuable. Satellite images can monitor sea ice from space, weather stations can predict storms, GPS can guide travelers across frozen landscapes. Yet, local Inuit hunters often recognize dangerous conditions long before technology detects them. Generations of observation have created an understanding that modern science is only beginning to appreciate. At the same time, the Arctic itself is changing. Temperatures are rising faster here than almost anywhere else on Earth. Sea ice forms later. It melts earlier, coastlines are eroding. Ancient archaeological sites that remained frozen for centuries are now becoming exposed. While this creates opportunities for new discoveries, it also places these fragile sites at risk of disappearing forever. Researchers often race against time. Every summer, melting ground reveals artifacts that may survive only a few months before exposure to air, water, and bacteria destroys them forever. That's why Arctic archaeology has become one of the fastest moving fields in modern science. Every excavation has the potential to rewrite another chapter of human history. Some discoveries answer old questions. Others create entirely new mysteries. And perhaps the greatest mystery of all still remains unanswered. Why did the earlier Arctic civilization disappear? Climate change certainly played a role. Environmental conditions shifted dramatically. Animal migrations changed. Sea ice patterns became less predictable. But many scientists believe climate alone cannot explain everything. There may have been disease, competition for shortages, or several factors occurring at the same time. For now, the Arctic remains silent. Its frozen landscape continues protecting answers buried beneath layers of snow and ice. But with every passing year, every new DNA sample, every archaeological excavation, and every scientific breakthrough, we come one step closer to uncovering the complete story of the Inuit. A story not only about survival, but about adaptation, innovation, and one of the most extraordinary human journeys ever recorded. The deeper scientists investigate the Arctic, the more they realize that this frozen wilderness is far from empty. Beneath layers of snow and ice lies one of the richest archaeological landscapes on Earth, preserving thousands of years of human history in remarkable detail. Unlike warmer regions where wood rots and fabrics decay, the Arctic's frozen ground acts like a natural time capsule. Clothing, hunting tools, animal bones, and even footprints can remain preserved for centuries. Every summer, as the ice melts a little more, another piece of history emerges. Some of the most fascinating discoveries are the tools left behind by ancient Arctic hunters. At first glance, they appear simple, carefully shaped stone blades, finely carved harpoon heads, and bone needles. But each object reflects an incredible level of skill. These weren't primitive inventions. They were precision tools designed specifically for one of the harshest environments on Earth. The ancestors of today's Inuit constantly refined their technology. Every generation improved the design of their harpoons, making them stronger and more effective for hunting seals and whales. They developed lightweight sleds capable of traveling across vast stretches of sea ice. Their kayaks became masterpieces of engineering, fast, silent, and perfectly suited for navigating icy waters. What makes these achievements even more remarkable is that they were accomplished without metal, modern machinery, or written instructions. Knowledge was passed down through observation and practice. A child learned by watching parents and elders, gradually mastering the skills needed to survive. Scientists often describe this as one of humanity's greatest examples of environmental adaptation. The Arctic offered no easy opportunities. There were no forests for building houses, no fertile soil for farming, no domesticated animals for food. Everything depended on understanding nature. Success meant knowing exactly when seals surfaced for air, knowing where whales migrated, knowing how thick the sea ice was beneath your feet. This intimate relationship with the environment shaped every aspect of Inuit life. Even stories carried practical knowledge. Many traditional legends taught respect for animals, caution during dangerous weather, and the importance of sharing food within the community. These weren't simply stories for entertainment. They were lessons that helped entire generations survive. Today, researchers are beginning to appreciate just how valuable this traditional knowledge remains. In some cases, Inuit hunters notice changes in sea ice weeks before satellite data confirms them. Their observations are now contributing to climate research, wildlife conservation, and environmental monitoring across the Arctic. Meanwhile, another mystery continues to capture the attention of historians. Around the same period that Inuit ancestors expanded across Greenland, another group was exploring the North Atlantic. For years, people wondered whether these two cultures ever encountered one another. The answer appears to be yes. Archaeological evidence suggests that Norse settlers and Inuit communities occupied parts of Greenland during overlapping periods. Fragments of metal objects, trade goods, and historical accounts hint at occasional contact. Exactly what happened during those encounters remains uncertain. Some interactions may have involved trade. Others may have been cautious observations from a distance. There are even theories of conflict, although clear evidence remains limited. What is certain is that two remarkably different cultures were surviving in one of the world's harshest environments at roughly the same time. One eventually disappeared. The other endured. Why? Many historians believe the Inuits' deep understanding of Arctic survival gave them a critical advantage. While Norse settlers relied heavily on European farming traditions, the Inuit depended almost entirely on marine hunting and seasonal adaptation. When environmental conditions changed, the Inuit adjusted, the Norse struggled. This contrast has become one of history's most fascinating examples of human adaptation. Today, Inuit communities continue living across Alaska, northern Canada, and Greenland. Modern life has introduced schools, hospitals, aircraft, snowmobiles, satellite communications, and the internet. Yet many traditions remain deeply connected to the Arctic landscape. Hunting continues to play an important cultural role. Traditional languages are still spoken. Ancient stories continue to be shared. Communities work to preserve knowledge that has been passed down for centuries. At the same time, climate change presents new challenges unlike any faced before. Sea ice is becoming less predictable. Some traditional hunting routes are disappearing. Coastal erosion threatens villages and archaeological sites alike. Scientists and Inuit communities now work together more closely than ever, combining modern research with traditional knowledge to better understand these rapidly changing conditions. Their collaboration is revealing something important. History isn't only about the past. It's also about protecting the future, because every archaeological site lost to erosion, every artifact destroyed by melting permafrost, and every forgotten story represents another piece of humanity's history disappearing forever. Fortunately, researchers continue making extraordinary discoveries each year. Ancient DNA technologies are becoming more advanced. Radiocarbon dating grows increasingly precise. Ground-penetrating radar allows scientists to locate hidden settlements without disturbing fragile sites. Each breakthrough brings us closer to understanding the complete story of the Inuit and the people who came before them. Yet perhaps the greatest lesson from this frozen world isn't simply about survival. It's about resilience, gelation after generation, families adapted to changing climates, new technologies, and unfamiliar challenges. Their story reminds us that human history is filled with extraordinary journeys, many of which are only now being uncovered beneath the Arctic ice. As the evidence continues to grow, one thing becomes absolutely clear. The story of the Inuit isn't simply about living in the Arctic. It's about mastering one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth. For centuries, outsiders viewed the Arctic as an empty wilderness, a place too cold, too dangerous, and too isolated for civilization to truly flourish. But modern archaeology proves otherwise. The Arctic has always been full of life. It has been home to skilled hunters, talented craftsmen, remarkable navigators, and communities whose understanding of nature rivals even today's scientific knowledge. The ancestors of the Inuit didn't conquer the Arctic through force. They succeeded because they learned to live in harmony with it. Instead of fighting nature, they adapted to it. Every season required different skills. Every animal demanded different hunting techniques. Every journey across sea ice depended on experience rather than luck. Their survival was built on patience, observation, and cooperation. These qualities transformed one of the harshest landscapes on Earth into a place they proudly called home. Today, researchers continue uncovering astonishing discoveries across Alaska, northern Canada, and Greenland. Each archaeological excavation reveals another forgotten story. Every DNA sample provides another clue about ancient migrations. And every new scientific breakthrough reminds us that history is never truly finished. It is constantly evolving. Many of the beliefs accepted just a few decades ago have already changed because of new evidence. Questions once considered impossible to answer are slowly becoming clearer. Yet some mysteries remain. Researchers still debate exactly why the earlier Arctic civilizations disappeared. Some believe environmental changes gradually reduced their ability to survive. Others argue that competition for resources may have accelerated their decline. A few suggest that disease or isolation played an important role. The truth may involve all of these factors combined. History is rarely simple, and that complexity makes the Inuit story even more fascinating. It reminds us that human civilization has never followed a straight path. Cultures rise. They adapt, they transform. Sometimes they disappear, sometimes they survive against impossible odds. The Inuit represent one of humanity's greatest examples of resilience. Generation after generation, they develop knowledge that cannot be learned from books alone. Knowledge of changing winds, moving sea ice, animal behavior, the rhythm of Arctic seasons. This wisdom allowed communities to thrive where most people could survive only briefly. Even today, modern researchers often rely on Inuit knowledge while studying climate change, wildlife, and Arctic ecosystems. Their observations continue to help scientists understand one of the fastest changing environments on Earth. As glaciers retreat and ancient ice melts, the Arctic is revealing more secrets than ever before. Hidden campsites emerge from frozen ground. Ancient tools appear beneath melting permafrost. Forgotten settlements slowly return to the surface after remaining buried for centuries. Each discovery reminds us how much history still waits to be uncovered. Perhaps the greatest lesson from the Inuit story is this: human strength isn't measured by the environment we live in. It's measured by our ability to adapt when that environment changes. The Arctic has challenged every generation that has entered it. Some civilizations disappeared, others endured. The Inuit became one of history's greatest survivors. Not because the Arctic was easy, but because they learned to understand it better than anyone else. And maybe that's why their story continues to inspire scientists, historians, and explorers today. The frozen Arctic still holds countless unanswered questions. Some may remain hidden forever beneath the ice. Others will almost certainly be discovered by future generations. But one thing is certain: every new discovery brings us closer to understanding not only the origins of the Inuit, but the incredible story of human resilience itself. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering this forgotten chapter of human history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next journey into the world's greatest historical mysteries. Until next time, keep questioning history, because the greatest discoveries are often hidden where no one thinks to look.